everybody, and welcome to another episode of So Chatty. It's been a hot moment. We have been away, as you well know, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, and you know that we have been in London, England, London, UK, and we went to the Birmingham Festival of Quilts as well when we were there, and we met celebrities in the quilting world, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what makes a celebrity in the quilting community and those kind of things. But before we do that, let's take a look at what I had finished up or started working on just before we left. So there it is, Christmas tree skirt, 2 and more, maybe 3 years in the making. I have finished it. It is done. Don't anybody say to me again, have you got that thing done yet? I've had several of you been bugging me over the last 3 years about getting on with this. Well, I got on with it. It is done. It's ready. We're going to be home at Christmas this year, so it'll go underneath the little tree that I have. So there we are. It's done. It's over with. I like it, but it was a lot of work. And that's an In the Hoop project, by the way. And I'll talk more probably about that maybe next week on Idiot Quilter, some of the finer details.
How come there's 2?
Because I was waiting for you to spot that. That is not a mistake. But when I first saw it in the diagram, I thought, have they made a mistake? No, because I've deviated from the pattern slightly. This is supposed to be an open slit here, and then you put a binding in here with a ribbon, and it's for tying it. And I can see the point of that if you have a big, huge Christmas tree to try to get it around the base. But our Christmas tree is about 3 feet high, and so I don't have to worry about that. So what I did instead was I just went ahead and see, it wouldn't matter because it's an odd number of blades. There's 15 blades, so you would have to have 2 together. So that'll go at the back of the tree, just in case there's other eagle eyes like Walter's who go, what happened here? Hoping that I had made a mistake, but I had not. But what I did for the center here, I did not want to put in that binding piece and, so you could tie it together. I just cut out with my AccuQuilt a circle, and I appliqued it, and I did a very close small zigzag all the way around to keep it from fraying. And in the center here, I had this sitting in my drawer of odds and ends. This was a freestanding lace snowflake, so I put that on. And at first I did glue it, but that wasn't going to hold very well with the fabric glue. So I did stitch it, but I used invisible thread, and I went right up and down the veins of in here. So that sucker's not going to go anywhere. Nobody's really going to see that because the stand of the little Christmas tree is going to cover that area up, but it finishes it off. So it is done, and I'm glad. Then I started on the Stormy Sea quilt, which I showed you a few weeks ago, the kit that I bought at Ultimate Sewing, because his nibs doesn't like what we have on our bed right now, even though it took 2 years to make it and all of that. And he likes this one better because they had one hanging up in the store, and they had a kit for $400, so I bought the kit. And before we left, I thought I would try one block. Now, this quilt has many different blocks in it, so I put this one together, and it went together pretty good, and I think it'll look really nice when the whole quilt's together because it's all done in batiks, and I love batiks, and I love this color scheme that they have for it. So yeah,
how come the point doesn't go to the edge on this one and it does on that?
And actually I asked the same question of that, and that is actually the design of it, because normally I would have wanted those to go right to the edge, and I double checked it when I cut those flying geese and everything, and they are this size they're supposed to be. And then when I looked at their picture in the instructions too, yep, they show that as well. And what Walter's talking about is just this little area here. It's a little thicker. Because this one might not have gone right over, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, that's how it just worked out with their measurements. So screw me, I don't know. Anyways, it'll be fine. In the big scheme of things, no one's going to really notice it, okay? Except maybe his nibs, because he does this on purpose. You know he does this on purpose because that's just the way he is. But Walter never makes a mistake. Oops! Oh, so Walter made me a shirt before we went to the Birmingham Festival of Quilts, and I saved the shirt to premiere it at the Festival of Quilts. And a lot of people did come up and talk about our shirts, because Walter was wearing one of his as well that he made for himself, but they were both Wally creations. And people wanted to know where we got them and who'd made them. And of course, Walter was standing there. He says, well, he makes them. And of course, he just beamed from ear to ear because they're full of kind words for him. I'm chopped liver, but, you know, we're at a quilt show, they're looking at shirts. But there's a problem in my shirt, in my new one. Do you want to explain the problem?
Well, when I was sewing it together, I had a part. When I looked at the back of it, I had a piece of the seam that had come out, and so
they can't see what you're talking about.
I put it back together. I fixed it when I was making the shirt.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I thought I did anyway. So it did catch, but then I guess what happened is during wear it came out again. So I have to fix it again. It's right at where the yoke matches the back. There's a seam that came out here. So
I have a hole in my shirt.
yeah. So
of course he tried to blame it on me because I had a backpack on.
No, I think it's because when I fixed it, it didn't catch again.
You think?
And then now I have to fix it again.
And when we came home, I washed the shirt, and he's
I
all
didn't
pissed
tell him
off
not
at that.
to wash the
He
shirt.
didn't tell me not to wash the shirt, but I washed it because, you know, you come home, dirty clothes, what do you do with them? You wash them. But yes, I am gloating. Yes, I am. Why? And I know I'm going to get all these comments that are going to come up and go, oh, be nice to Walter. Oh, don't do that. You know how many times, and you saw an example of it right today, a few minutes ago, he points out any little mistakes that I make in the whole bit, and what does he say when he finds one of my mistakes? He's just ignoring me here, like he's an idiot. So I rarely get a chance to point out something that he did wrong, and it was his fault. Now, just to be on the kinder side, those of us that make quilts, we've done this before too. We haven't caught the seam, or we got too close to one of the edges in our blocks, didn't notice it, and then usually we notice it when we put it onto a long arm to quilt it or whatever, and it pulls apart. And there's been cursing and swearing and bitching because at that point you can't get into it to fix it, so you got to do some clever hand mending with that kind of thing, which I am not good at. So we've all been there, but I still think it's funny. But I love that shirt.
Well, it'll be interesting to try and fix because it's not a straightforward seam to fix.
No, it's not. If you were a clever seamstress, you wouldn't have to take it apart. You could do invisible mending.
No, I can't. I'll have to try and take this seam apart. But the problem is this is the one that you do the
double
burrito.
Mm.
Huh? Oh well, we'll see. I'll try and do my best to get it fixed.
Maybe you should go on YouTube and look up how to fix a seam in a shirt that has pulled apart.
Yeah, maybe I'll
see if they've got like. I know there are people who are really good menders of stuff, and they do things called invisible mending with it. I mean,
yeah, it's called put it in the garbage bin.
Yeah, I like that
Make
shirt.
a new one.
I don't know. Maybe I could make
I'll get it. I'll figure it.
I could cut it up and make it into a poster.
I am very good at thinking of solutions to fix things. So
you heard it here first, people. We're holding him to it. We'll come back to this whenever he gets this all, what he thinks is done, and we'll say, will we be singing his praises, or will we be going, I don't want to go, though, because I like that shirt, and I really like it fixed. By the way, I am not wearing a Wally creation today. This is a Stevie creation.
It's a Wally guided creation.
It doesn't matter. I made it. This is back a while ago. You saw the video. Okay, enough about shirts. Let's talk about what's happening. Okay, we're back, as you well realize. So, Sewing with Stephen will resume this coming Wednesday, August the 13th, 8 a.m. Start time, runs till 4 in the afternoon. Link is in the show notes for this today, and will be in the show notes for Stephen and Walter on Sunday, and will be in the show notes for my vlog on Monday, and in the Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. So, that link is always there, basically. I did remove it when we went on our holiday because I thought, sure enough, someone will not realize that we are not in the country, and will click on that link and wonder what the heck
And
happened.
actually, it did happen.
It did happen. Somebody did.
Because somebody that I know sent me a message and said, I can't find the link for Stephen and Walter, or I can't find the link for Stephen's sewing thing. Can you, is there not a sewing day today?
And so we really know how often she watches the videos, right? Mm-hmm. But anyways,
Well, she said she was behind in the videos.
so. Yeah, that's what everybody says. I just haven't got up to that yet. Well, the thing is, it's in all the videos and has been for the last almost 2 years. So, anyways, that happened. So that's this Wednesday, August the 13th. Starting at 8 a.m. Come and go as you please. I have a whole bunch of new subscribers, so if you are a new subscriber, this isn't just for the old subscribers, so to speak. It's for everybody. Whoever wants to join in, and you work on whatever you want to work on. And if that involves reorganizing your underwear drawer, that is fine by us. Don't worry about it. It's all very loosey-goosey. Okay, and speaking of loosey-goosey things that are coming up, Pop-Up Sew Day, yes, right on the heels of this as we come home. 1 week from this Saturday coming, so that will be August the 16th, starting at 8 a.m. As usual. Now, what's a Pop-Up Sew Day? Well, it's just as it says, it is a Zoom. The link will appear in the show notes for everything I put up from here until that date. They're in the show notes today for this one as well. People on my mailing list, you will get notification of it. You'll get the link as well sometime on Monday, sometime mid-Monday morning, let's say. But all are welcome. Work on whatever you want. Have fun. Come and go as you please. You don't have to register for it or anything like that. You just show up. Now, one little difference this coming Pop-Up Sew Day. Usually I run them from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. This week, due to a prior commitment, I will be ending it 1 hour earlier. So it will end at 4 p.m. Eastern instead of 5 p.m. Eastern this coming Saturday. So just so you know, you can plan around that or whatever. Most
this
people,
coming Saturday.
or no, sorry,
tomorrow.
not this coming Saturday. I'm jet lagged. That's what it is. That's
It's a week Saturday.
A week this Saturday coming. Of course, if they're watching this sometime in the future, or that may not mean it's on Saturday, August the 16th, 2025. Okay? I hope that's made it as clear as mud for you. Okay, any other announcements? No, Walter will be off to his little sew day probably that day too. But again, he has to come home early because we have a prior commitment with that. Okay, main topic. You've noticed in the title I put Meeting the Gods of the Quilting World. All right, so off to Birmingham we went from London. We took the train. And we stayed right in the hotel that's right next to the convention center that they hold this quilt show in. If you've seen our videos that we made while we were away, you know what I'm talking about because that's all in the videos as well. And some of the things we'll talk about today have already been touched on in those videos that we made, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. But we want to focus not so much on the quilt show and the quilts and things like that, because we've already made a video of that. We want to focus on the celebrities of the quilting world, because it was a who's who out there. And when I say celebrities of the quilting world, there are two categories here. There are those that you may know from their online presence on YouTube, like us. Or, although we don't really consider ourselves celebrities, but more about that shortly. But there were other people, other content creators that we did meet. And we said hello to, and we talked to them for a while. And it was really quite nice to meet up with these people. But before we talk about who those people were, let's talk about what makes a celebrity in the quilting world. Now, we're all familiar with that term celebrity, usually applied to movie stars or television personalities. But in this day and age, when YouTube is as big a presence in the entertainment world as your major television stations and some of your and some of your major movie companies as well. Um, those of us that make content, well, sometimes people do think of us as celebrities. And depending on, how many people are subscribed to particular channels or whatever, I guess that might say that because they're maybe more popular than others, they are the big celebrities. They're the A-listers. We're not the A-listers. We're not the B-listers. We're somewhere down lower on the scale. Um, but I'm talking about people like, say, Becca from, what's her channel called? Can't even think now, but you know who I'm talking about. Or, who are some of the other big names? Oh, well, people like Donna Jordan, who's now passed away, R.I.P., or Angela Walters, or any of the ones that create products or have fabric lines that have YouTube channels, all those ones out there. And there's hundreds of them, right? So what makes them a celebrity? What do you think? What is a celebrity in general?
I guess a celebrity would be someone that's known for known outside. Well,
I think the key word there is known, but known on a vast market. Worldwide recognition, nationwide recognition, that kind of thing. And now I'm thinking more of movie stars in that case.
Like in the case of a movie star, they become celebrities because they're seen visually through their movies by people watching the movies, right?
Yeah.
So then they suddenly become celebrities. Yet, probably in their own mind, they probably don't feel that much like celebrities. They're doing a job, and their job is to portray someone in a movie.
And I think also it depends on what their recognition level is. If they've won any major awards like an Oscar, an Emmy, Tony, Grammy, whatever, they suddenly elevate even higher because those shows are extremely popular. They're broadcast across the world with a viewing audience in the millions. So that's what makes somebody in the entertainment world, music, movies, television, celebrities, and they become bigger than life. But a lot of that is created by, say, in the movies, the character that they play. What's his name? Tom Cruise. Okay, he has been in major motion pictures. They're usually adventure type things. There's shoot 'em ups like the Mission Impossible things, Top Gun, stuff like that. So they are playing a character. They are not playing themselves, and that goes with pretty much any celebrity. They're actors. They just get a lot of money and a lot of fame because they're on the big screen. People have access to them through the big screen. We all know who they are thanks to advertising.
Yeah, and like that, some of these people make big money, and there is also an assumption that when people see people on movies and that all actors make really lots of money, and yeah, they do make a fair bit of money per movie, but it depends on what rank of actor you are. If you're Tom Cruise, you're making millions, but if you're a well-seen actor that has more of a bit part, they may not be making as much. And a lot of people assume all the people are making big. So then there's like sports celebrities, and then there's that everybody knows that because they follow sports. Then there's celebrities that make music like Madonna and Elton John and Taylor Swift, and they're celebrities too. But again, they're seen worldwide by their album sales, and people listen to their music, so they become celebrities.
And they also are seen more than people, for example, that create YouTube content because they have a huge publicity or PR machine behind them that advertises them, throws their face up on billboards, on television ads, things like that. Content creators don't have that kind of presence out there. But that doesn't stop people from if they watch somebody on a regular basis, the mystique that surrounds the idea of who a celebrity is. Because we're on a box, on a screen somewhere, whether it's on a computer, television, whatever device you watch YouTube on, suddenly that elevates anybody who has a channel up to another level. However, that's not really being a celebrity. Now, there are celebrities, though, in the quilting world that are known because they have either created like a fabric line that people absolutely love. They're known for their designs, or they're known for their patterns, or they're known for the notions they have created, or things like that. They're also have a PR team behind them, because oftentimes those kind of quilting celebrities are sponsored by companies like Northcott, Moda, Riley Blake, all
Free Spirit,
Free Spirit, or Orafil, things like that. Singer, Berdina, Janome, things like that. So that helps to take those individuals and elevates them up. And I think that's the reason why there are those YouTube creators who do go out and actively seek sponsorship from big names like that, because that puts them out there to an even wider audience, that kind of thing. So that makes them celebrities there. Now at the quilt show, those kind of people were there. In fact, they were demoing various products. Kate from the Last Homely House was doing something with Orafil. Kay Facet was there because he was promoting his fabric lines as well. There were quilt celebrities there who have books out, had their own area on the floor of the quilt show that had displays of their work that they had done. So they were people who are award-winning quilters and also innovative quilters. Like many of them are art quilts that they do. Like we look at those kind of things and go, we are not worthy. And that's where their fame comes from. Fortune is another story. None of them are rich. None of them are rich.
They probably, some of them do well better than others, I'm sure. But there seems to be an assumption that a lot of these people are very wealthy, and probably aren't very wealthy. They're probably doing well, but they're not probably extremely wealthy.
Yeah. And the other thing too is the personalities that this level of content creator or quilter project is also something that attracts people to them. For example, take Kate from the Last Homely House. People love Kate's channel because they love Kate. Kate is a very kind, calm, soothing person. She doesn't have any airs about her on her channel. She's just showing you what she's doing, and she talks about her family. She is very personable. And everybody who watches her videos feel instantly like they are welcomed by her and that they've become a friend, even though they may never have met her. Well, we have met her in real life, and she was at the quilt show as well. And I will say this about Kate, and I have followed Kate for a long time. She is the same person in real life as she is on her channel. Exactly. There is no difference. I mean, Kate sort of knows who we are, but we're not friends that call each other up all the time and chat over email or something.
She was on one of your pop-ups.
She was on one of my retreats.
Retreats, actually.
Several years ago, and I wasn't even going to ask her, because in my mind, Kate was a celebrity. I mean, she has a base of followers that's in the hundreds of thousands, literally. She got the plaque at one point from YouTube that they honor a content creator with once you've hit 100,000 subscribers. I only have 12,000 and some. Okay, people, subscribe. I want a plaque. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get there. But and she was very gracious to agree when I reached out to her, and I didn't expect her. I expected her to be, say something nice like, "Oh, I'd really love to, but I'm so sorry, I'm booked up then, so whatever, good luck, goodbye." She didn't. She said she'd love to. Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather at that point in time. This is about 3 years ago now that this happened. 3, maybe even 4. I don't know. And the thing was that really endeared me to Kate even more was that after she had done her presentation on there, she didn't disappear. She stayed the whole day, chatted with people, worked on her own project the whole bit, just like anybody else that was on the retreat. So that's the kind of person she is, and she deserves celebrity status in my mind in the quilting world. Has she done anything innovative that's going to put her on the map as far as a designer? No. Her quilts are very approachable for anybody, and she says that. But it's her warmth that pulls people in, and it's genuine. And you can tell that when she's making her videos, that kind of thing. Other personalities, or there are other quilt celebrities, though, their personality might be a little different. It depends. Ones that are sponsored by major corporations as ambassadors, there is a certain amount of gain, whether it be financial or popularity, with that association. They may not be as humble and nice. Now, they will put on a brave face. You go up and you say hello to them and the whole bit, and they don't know who you are. But they'll say, "Oh, hi, nice to talk to you," and they've got like standard phrases that come out. "Oh yeah," oh, and someone will say, "Oh, I love Aurifil thread. I love a Janome sewing machine." Yes, they're very nice, aren't they? I use them all the time. They're an ambassador. So there's a certain amount of, I'm not going to say phoniness, but there's a certain amount of, I don't know, what would you call it? Like you're not getting to know them, you're getting to know the product.
Yeah.
And they represent the product. And if you like them, you'll like the product. And that's why these major manufacturers hook up with popular content creators. Okay, it's just good business. I'm not saying anything against the person who does that. Okay, I mean, I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if Janome came to me or somebody like that and said, "We'd like you to be an ambassador because we love your work." And we think, yeah, I don't know if I do it, but I mean, depends on how much of a commitment I have to make to that, because there's always strings attached. But I guess what I'm saying is quilting celebrities come in several varieties. The ones that you're going to get that you think you know from their presence on YouTube, and are they the same in real life? Some are like Kate. Others, not so much. So we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, so, let's talk about it now. I've already mentioned Kate. Kate is one of those, and I do consider her a celebrity on YouTube. She's a big presence. Most people in the quilting community have heard of her. When we got to the hotel, we were sitting down near the reception desk having a drink, and when we were checking, wait, let me back it up. We were sitting there having a drink, and she came in with one of her daughter-in-laws, Anna, and if you watched The Last Homely House, you know who Anna is as well, and they were checking in. Well, okay, I'm torn. One, I have spoken to Kate before. As I said, she was on one of my retreats, but that was several years ago. We don't stay in touch, so I'm thinking, what do you do? I don't want to look like a fangirl.
What actually happened? Was we were sitting having a drink, and she had walked in. Steve didn't recognize her or anything. I
didn't see her come in.
No, I didn't see. Actually, I didn't see her come in. But I looked at. We were pointing to the area where they were doing the reception to check you into the hotel, and suddenly I saw her standing there, and I said, "Oh, look, there's Kate."
I had my back to her,
and Steve turned around, and she must have heard me. And so she turned around and looked at us, and she recognized us or something because she came.
I leaped. And this is what I say. For a moment, you feel like a fangirl, and then you got to rein yourself in because, the fangirls can be scary. And I said, "Hi, Kate." And she looked at me, and she sort of smiled, but you could see it's sort of that going through your head, like, "Who are you?" Whatever. I said, "You probably don't remember me, but I said you might remember what I go by. I'm the Idiot Quilter," because you see, she's always had a problem with me calling myself the Idiot Quilter. She doesn't like me calling myself an idiot, even though I've explained why. She doesn't think that I should use that because she thinks I'm being derogatory to myself. But anyways, she goes, "Oh yes," she says, "I do. I know who you are." And everything, and we had a very brief, because she had her bags. She was trying to go up to her room. I wasn't going to hold her up, but we talked. But she spent that time. She could have very said, "Oh yeah, how are you? Well, bye. Well, I gotta go." She didn't. She didn't try to run away. And she introduced me to her daughter-in-law, Anna, who I knew, and then she told me that Rita, her other daughter-in-law, was joining them later on, and everything like that. So we had a pleasant little. It was only a minute, 2 minutes. Because I didn't want to hold her up. But she was just right there, her warmth, her genuine personality came out in that brief moment. And then later on, we had come down, we were going out for dinner, and she was sitting with her daughter-in-law having a drink, and we talked a little bit more. I didn't want to throw myself on her. She was asking us what we were doing for dinner. I could have taken the opportunity and said, "Well, I don't know. What are you doing for dinner? Maybe we should do dinner together." But I'm not that kind of person. Okay? Because I thought, well, that's putting someone on the spot. She's so nice. She might have said, "Well, sure." But maybe that would have been okay. Maybe not. But I didn't step over that line. Okay? But when we first got to the hotel as well, I did not see them. Walter did. I wasn't expecting to see them. But Kay Fassett, everybody knows Kay Fassett, and his partner, Brandon, were sitting right feet away from us.
Well, actually, we walked in to check in, and as we walked in, there were two gentlemen having lunch in near where the reception was of the hotel. The hotel is a little weird setup because the reception is at the bar, and so you're basically in the middle of the dining room, and that's where the reception is. So we walked in, and there's these two guys sitting there, older gentlemen having lunch, and we walked in, and I recognized them right away. Steve looked at them and was oblivious.
My mind was on our checking in process and looking around. I wasn't focusing on people.
So I didn't say anything to Steve. So anyway, we checked in, but right after we finished checking in, we noticed that they weren't there anymore. But I saw Brandon, which is Kay Fassett's partner, talking to a lady in the hallway, but I didn't see Kay Fassett anymore. So then I said, "Oh, didn't you recognize two guys from Kay Fassett?"
Didn't, because my mind wasn't focusing on that. I was not celebrity hunting at this. And yes, Kaif is a celebrity because his fabrics are known world round, his designs and his colors and all that kind of stuff, right? So everybody knows who Kaif is, and Brandon too, because they're always together for everything, and they work together. And for one moment, I thought, if I see them again, do I want to walk, if they're sitting down in the restaurant part or something, do I want to walk up to them, be that bold and say, "Hi, you don't know me. I'm an idiot. I'm the Idiot Quilter. Blah, 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 blah." Again, fangirl comes up. Well.
Well, what happened was later that night, we were going down, actually, around the same time when we saw Kate the second time.
Yeah, just before we got down.
We were in the elevator, and the doors stopped, opened, and there was Kay Fassett and his partner, and he walked into our elevator.
And got in our elevator. Now, I'm thinking.
I said, he still didn't recognize who he was, and I said, "That's Kay Fassett."
I wasn't expecting him to get into the elevator with me. That is going fast. And then I had a dilemma, and it seemed like an eternity making my mind. do I say anything to him or do I not? Here I've got him. I've got him here. We're trapped in the elevator. Like this is stalker. Like anyway, but anyways, I did. I thought I'm not going to get another opportunity, so let's go for it. So I said, "Hi, Kafe." I said, "My name is Steven." I said, "I have a YouTube channel. I'm a quilter, and I just want to say that your fabrics were something that really got me into quilting when I first saw your fabrics." And I said, "I don't want to take up any of your time because I know you're probably going off to something or dinner, but I just want to say hello, and if you don't mind, can I get it on video for just a second?" Because I said my subscribers, when they knew we were coming to the Birmingham Quilt Show, kept saying, "Well, are you going to see Kafe? Are you going to see Kafe?" And I said, so I would be amiss, I said, if I didn't at least. He was very gracious about it. He said, "Not a problem." And so you've seen it. If you've seen the videos, you saw him, and he just said hello. That whole that exchange only took maybe a total of 1.5 minutes. I didn't want to hold them up. I was very conscious of, the fact that they have an agenda, whatever they're doing and whatnot. But I got it on video, and he didn't brush me off. I'm nobody to K Facet. I am not somebody that is a creator of fabrics or a seller of fabrics or a representative of one of the big, fabric manufacturers or anything like that. I'm nobody. And yet he took the moment to do that. And he could have very easily said, "Oh, I really don't have time for your video, sorry," and then just walked away from me. But he didn't. So, that was a good experience. So we've had 2 good experiences so far now. We've had a great experience with Kate, and we've had one with Kafe. And just as an sideline to Kafe, okay, yes, yeah, I'm very forgettable in an environment like that. Yet, he came in, we were sitting in the lobby, there's an area for sitting, and he came into the lobby, and as he was going by, he gave us a wave. He didn't have to do that. He could have had his eyes straight ahead and just kept right on walking, but he didn't. I mean, he didn't stop for a conversation, but then I didn't, throw myself at him to do that kind of a thing. In fact, I don't know what I would have talked to him about. I love your fabrics, they're colorful. Okay, where do you get your inspiration? No, that's just all mindless chat. So that was 2. Then Adam of Adam Sews. Okay, now my channel's bigger than Adam's. Okay, in terms of number of subscribers, but Adam has a very large presence on YouTube and in the quilting world because he knows a lot of people. I reached out to Adam. Now, Adam has come on one of our lives before, on several of our lives. He's been to some of my pop-up sew days as well, and I did have him. I interviewed him and had him on one of my retreats. And every now and then, we chat back and forth. Not in great detail, usually about something very specific, but there he is. So I sent him an email before we left for Birmingham and said, "We're planning to be at the Birmingham Festival of Quilts on such and such dates. I said, I'm assuming you're probably going to be there too. And if you are, and if you've got some free time or something, maybe we can grab a coffee or something like that." And he wrote right back. It would have been easy for him to ignore the email, but he wrote right back and says, "Oh yeah, that would be great. Would love to." And so we made arrangements to meet, and we did, and we sat and we had coffee with Adam for about an hour.
Yeah.
And that had a nice conversation about lots of things. Adam is a very personable person as well, very friendly. Felt very comfortable around Adam, and that was really nice of him to do. And we decided to meet outside of the main halls for the show because I knew if were trying to have a conversation somewhere, someone's going to come up and go to him, oh, it's Adam from Adam So's, and they just start talking his ear off. And then that puts him in an awkward position because on one, he's got to pay attention to this person that's just come up. At the same time, he's neglecting us that are already there. And I'm sure that's kind of a thing that went through his head because it was really him who suggested we meet outside of the hall instead of inside. So that was nice. So Kate, Kaif, and Adam. When we were in the actual show, and this is where I was sort of a fangirl, I saw Brandy Moskowski. I think that's how you say her last name. She's the Quilter on Fire. She has a podcast. She interviews people on the podcast. She does all the major shows. She even organizes or has like the travel trips to see things, over in Europe and stuff like that. I just happened to see she was walking past me. She didn't know who I am. So I'm just somebody else looking at quilts. And when I saw her, I went, that's Brandy the Quilter on Fire. And on the back of her jacket, but I wasn't absolutely sure. I was pretty sure that's who it was. But I'd already made the mistake once when we were there. We saw some woman, and I thought it was Kate before we ran into Kate. And I saw this woman coming, and she was sort of looking at me. This is before we even got into the quilt show. It was in the convention. We were walking towards the hotel. And I said, Kate? And she went, no. I said, I'm sorry. I've mistaken you for someone else. And she said, oh, it's okay. And Walter goes,
she doesn't look anything like Kate.
That's what he told me.
She's just an old lady with gray hair.
They all look alike, I know. But anyways, so I wanted to make sure, she was wearing a jean jacket, and on the back she had embroidered Quilter on Fire. So I knew that's who it is. So I stopped. She's past me. That meant I had to chase her. Do I chase her or don't I? I did. I thought, no, I'm not going to let this opportunity miss this opportunity. So I went up to her and says, hi, Brandy. I said, you're the Quilter on Fire. I said, you don't know me. I introduced myself. I'm a content creator as well. I said, I've listened to your podcast and things like that. And she stopped what she was doing, and she turned around and says, oh, well, that's so lovely of you to say so. She says, do you have a quilt in the show? And I went, no, I don't. I'm just here to see it. And she carried on a conversation with me. And wouldn't you know it, that when I stopped her, we stopped right in front of the quilt that she had put in the show. That was serendipitous, because she was looking for where her quilt was. And she's telling me, because it's a non-juried show, anybody can enter it. Because they don't, pre-select what's going to go up for that kind of thing. And so we had a nice short conversation. I didn't want to hold her up, but I got it on, and I said to her, do you mind if I get this on video for, and she says, no, that's fine. And she took a moment and she spoke to all of you out there. So if you haven't seen that video yet for the Birmingham, go to the playlist where it says S&W in the UK. I think that was on probably it was the first day we were at the show. So that was August the 1st, I think.
Yeah.
They're all dated. So anyways, and it's there about 3/4 of the way into the video. I think you'll find you're there. Again, very nice person. Very much the same as the personality she projects on her videos and in her podcast. Okay, so are they all like that? No, they're not. You can understand the ones that are being sponsored by a major corporation and they're an ambassador and they have all kinds of people coming up to them. And many people think that because they know who you are, you should know who they are. They forget they haven't got a clue. They've never met you before with it. So it's very easy for them to, be very superficial in the greeting to you and moving on to the next person, because there's all kinds of people.
And there's some content creators that seem to take other content creators as a threat.
Yes, that's what we're coming to. So we went down for dinner in the restaurant bar area of the hotel that we've already talked about. And when we were down there, there was a table of some content creators. I knew who they were for the most part. There were four of them, three of them I knew who they were. Um, and one of them is, and I'm sure that if I mentioned their names, you would know them as well. Um, However, and I debated, should I go over to their table, introduce myself, and say hi? There was one individual at that table, Kristen, who I've got on video as well. She is the Scrap Fabric Love is her YouTube channel. I have interviewed her before several years ago as well on the channel. I saw her sitting there, and then there were a couple of others that one I know from YouTube videos. Well, both I knew from YouTube videos. I'm not going to name those people because I'm not going to say nice things. So I'm not going to name them. But
I mean, one is fairly well known.
Well, two of them are fairly well known. I think that all three of them are well known. But Kristen, so anyways, one of them that I'm not going to mention that person's name walked by us, our table, and when she came back the other way, I said her name. And I says, let's call her Sheila. That's not her name, but let's call her Sheila. I says, hi, Sheila. And she stopped and she looked and says, I know you don't know who I am, but I just wanted to say hello. I'm blah, 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 the Idiot Quilter, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, well, nice to meet you. That was it. Didn't want to have anything more to do with us. I thought, well, that's kind of cold. Also, considering that this is somebody who did not come from a foreign land, somebody who comes from sort of our neck of the woods.
Yeah, that lives not too
and that
far
kind
away.
of thing. Watch this person's YouTube video. She has a very successful channel. Yeah. And she was speaking at one of the seminars or whatever they have there at one of the workshops too, and everything like that. But it was just this, after having such warm reception from Kate and Kafe and Adam and Brandy, this was very off-putting. Now, okay, let's make an excuse for that behavior, shall we? And I'm going to get a t-shirt printed up. You never need to make excuses for somebody else's bad. But I'm going to make excuses. One,
I mean, we did catch her off guard.
we caught her off guard. Okay. And she did have a couple of drinks in her hand, was taking them back to the table. So, okay. And she had other people she was sitting with. And you know what that's like, when somebody comes up and you're standing there with your hands full. There's a way around that. She could have just said, oh, nice to meet you. Just give me a second. I'm just going to drop these off and I'll be right back. Could have done that. Didn't do that. Or could have said, we're just sitting over there. Why don't you just come over for a minute and we can talk? Didn't do that. Okay. Not that I was expecting that to happen, but okay. 2, maybe she is not comfortable around strangers, but you are giving a presentation at this huge quilt show. So, and you have a YouTube channel. So really, you shouldn't be that shy. So, I mean, I can make those excuses, but in comparison to the other ones, no, she's big. She has hundreds of thousands, literally, of subscribers. So, maybe we're just all that in a bag of chips. I don't know. However, she's sitting at a table with Kristen from Scrap Fabric Love. And I said to her, oh, I see you're sitting with Kristen. And she goes, who? And I thought, did I have her name wrong? And I double checked it on my phone, past videos. No, I got her name right. That kind of thing. So it was like, oh, okay. It was very, very strange. Now, as Walter just said, there could be a variety of reasons why she was like that. But anyways, Kristen, though, came right over to our table, gives us a hug. How have you been and everything? And she said my name, and she couldn't have been nicer. You know, so there's the difference between a genuine personality and somebody who's not so much. So yeah, it took me really aback from that, but I'm not going to say who this person is. So you know, let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she was. Well, I did see a video later, and she did have a little bit of an experience getting to the quilt show. So maybe that was still, you know, fresh on her mind or something, or there were some worries there. But again, I'm making excuses for somebody else's bad. So, you know, whatever. But that's the difference with the celebrities. Now, did people recognize us? Didn't really expect anybody to do that. And we did. We did have a couple occasions where people that we did not know who came up and knew exactly who we were. They were subscribers. Mm-hmm. And they were very nice. Now, my way of handling something like that, because this has happened to us before, not often, but at other things more, like here, where I live, didn't expect it on the other side of the big pond kind of thing to happen. I could have been very, oh, hi, how are you? Just, I said, love to talk, haven't got time. No, we talked to them. And in fact, we had to end the conversation.
We found some interesting information, like, you know, one couple we met, one half, the guy was originally from Canada, and mm-hmm. they have relatives in Canada, so... But it was interesting to talk to people that were living over there and even there was another gentleman that we met that recognized us that lives in the U.S.
in Tennessee, actually.
Yeah, and we didn't know who he was, but we talked to him for a bit too.
So, and I feel that. We do not feel that we are celebrities by any stretch of the imagination at all. But when people take the time and get the nerve up to speak to you when you're a complete stranger, well, they're a complete stranger to us, I think it behooves you not to be gracious about it and to, you know, spend a little bit of time with them chatting about whatever. Make them feel that, well, not make them feel, but show them that you appreciate the fact that they did take the time to come up and speak to us, because they don't know what you see here. I will tell you is exactly the way we are in real life. But how do you know that's for sure? Because we have run into YouTube creators that we thought were one way because of their channel, and in real life they were the exact opposite. So yeah, but yeah, I was really flattered when people came mm-hmm. up and they're saying, "Oh, you're wearing a Walter shirt. Oh, I love his shirts. I love your shirts and this kind of stuff. We love your channel. All this kind of stuff." Yeah, your ego gets puffed up a little bit for that moment, and it makes you feel good about it. But, you know, you don't want to be a stalker either. So really, how do you treat, if you are somebody and they're coming in and you see somebody from YouTube that you know, but they won't know you, what's the best way to approach them? Well, I think the best way is just to walk up to them and say, "Hi, my name is such and such. I watch your channel all the time, and thank you so much for putting out the content that you do. I really appreciate it." You're going to make the content creator feel that they're doing something worthwhile, because remember, most content creators are not getting paid for this. This is a labor of love when they do it. And probably the majority of content creators do not consider themselves celebrities. They're just people doing something they enjoy doing with it. So it doesn't hurt to spread the love. However, do not stalk. Don't suddenly go, oh, let's go and get a coffee. Let's have dinner. Let's have drinks. Let's spend the rest of our lives together.
Yeah, actually, there was a group of people. We were having dinner at our place, and a group of people came over and talked to us as well.
And I put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah, we're Americans.
Because they said, like, we didn't know where they were from and everything. I just assumed that they were probably from that area or someplace in the UK. And I forget what I said. Something I says, well, just as long as you're not Americans, ha ha ha. No, well, actually, we're from Washington State. So I said, tried to recover. But I said, well, I said, you're close enough to the border. You know what I mean. And they go, yeah, we do know what you mean. And that kind of thing. So that passed over. But, yeah, okay, be careful about that. Because quite frankly, I wasn't really thinking of many Americans being there.
Yeah, but there were quite a few.
But there were quite a few Americans that were there for that show. So yeah, you just don't really think of it because the Americans have QuiltCon and all these other ones. So, but anyways, so yeah, don't be a stalker with them.
But we went there and we were far away too.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I guess it's just leave it to me to
put your foot in your
put
mouth.
my foot in my mouth, and if I open it again, I can get the other one in as well. That's kind of how I am, anyways. I do that a lot. But anyways, okay. So just before we go off, that's enough about celebrities and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about fabric buying in the UK. First of all, I didn't buy anything. No fabric anywhere. Walter did.
I bought 2.14 meters of Liberty of London Tana lawn. And even that I could have done without because the pattern is not really exceptional or anything. I just bought some.
And he bought it at the show.
Yeah.
There was a stand.
It was actually at a discounted price.
Yeah, it was still expensive, and that's the other reason I didn't buy anything. One, I didn't see anything that was so unique that I couldn't get it over here in one form or another.
I didn't find their prices to be that bad on regular fabric. That was at the show because they did have wide backs. They were £15 a meter,
which is $30.
Which is about $30 Canadian. And I did see some fabric there that were 8 and 10 pounds, which is about
well, they were on special.
They were, but I didn't see anything exceptional for me to purchase, like that had a nice pattern on it that I wanted. A lot of the stuff were plain colored fabrics, like blenders and things like that.
There were tons of vendors, and you can see it in the videos. I mean, it was the most vendors I've ever seen at a quilt show there. So, if you were a local, meaning you were British or whatever, I'm sure this was a great opportunity for you to get fabric, because from what we can see, there are not, per capita, I don't think there's as many quilt stores in Britain as there are here in North America.
Yeah, it seems to me that they have a lot of mixed stores that sell both quilting fabrics and garment fabrics.
Yeah. So
even at the quilt show, they had quite a few places selling non-quilting fabric it was more for garment making.
Yeah. Now, that brings us to sacrilege. Liberty of London. Many of you were saying, are you going to Liberty of London? Yes, we intended to, and we did. We actually went twice. Mm-hmm. Did we buy anything? No. Why didn't we buy anything? 2 reasons. Fabric was ugly. I'm sorry it was. It's just, you know how I talk jokingly about, well, not maybe so jokingly, but, old lady fabric?
Yeah, it was a lot of fine floral prints. Just like lots of small flowers, different colors of small flowers and stuff like that. There wasn't really anything outstanding that I even saw that I thought, oh, I just have to have that. And not at the price that they were charging.
No, because trying to find your everyday quilting cotton in that store, it was very limited.
And it almost looked like they were discontinuing that line because of where it was located.
It was set off to the side in one of the rooms off, like little alcove kind of area, and it was butt ugly. It was on sale for like £20 a meter, which is about $40 Canadian, $40 Canadian, and it was butt ugly.
I mean, there was only one that I saw that had a black background that had a multicolor print on it that I thought, that's not bad. But even then, for that price, it was just not worth it.
The other thing, too, is the fabrics that they sell the most of, it seems, or they have in stock, are Tana lawn.
Tana lawn and silk.
And silk. Which are a little bit too good to make into a quilt. They're definitely geared towards garment sewers. Liberty of London, you are paying for the name and the reputation. You're not paying for higher quality on fabrics, paying for higher price. You can also buy clothes at Liberty of London. Ladies' fashions, men's fashion, home decor items as well. It's a department store, basically. And the fabric part of it is only one little section.
Now we went downstairs to look at some of the men's stuff, and they had some men's shirts and things like that. However, the quality of the fabric was not as good as the fabric that you could purchase.
And
it
they
was
were
a poor quality cotton.
Yeah.
And it was fairly expensive. Like
£175 for a short sleeve men's shirt.
Which is about almost
$400 Canadian. About $375 Canadian. Not worth the money for that. Now, while we were in the men's section, this guy that works in there, he came up and started talking to us, right? And I said to him, well, you noticed our shirts. Turned out that although he was British, he had gotten he was in fashion arts and at a couple of universities in Canada. And now he's working there, so that tells you about his abilities to design. But anyways, and he agreed with me. He says, yeah, this is way overpriced for what you're getting, which I found was interesting. But what I also found interesting was I said, well, I'm a quilter, and I'm really disappointed in what you have here to choose from for making quilts. He says, yeah, most of the stuff, he says, is more geared towards garment making. He says, and I said, it's expensive. And he says, yeah, but he says, we have ladies that come in here from like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, that kind of thing, who are obviously have lots of money. They buy bolts and bolts, whole bolts of these fabrics to take back to them. He says it's not unusual to see them walk out of here having dropped 4,000 or 5,000 pounds on fabric, on bolts of fabric. 4,000 or 5,000 pounds is like 8,000 to 10,000 Canadian dollars on that. But he says they have lots of money, and he says they love the high fashion. And he said actually what they do is, he says, they may be wearing the whole burqa of that. He says underneath that, he says, is gold lame. He says they dress to the nines when they go out. They put that over. He says only that the rest of it is not to be seen in public. That's at home. So I said, so do they come with a little cord? And when the husband gets home, he just like pulls the cord and it all comes over. And let me see what's behind curtain number 1. Ooh, is that new, sweetie? Yes, it is. So yeah, and we did see some, well, actually quite a few of those types of ladies in there, and they were buying. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Do I say Liberty of London is not worth going into? No. Go in. It's a destination spot. Check it out for yourself.
They do sell all kinds of other things. They sell children's things. They sell pottery. They sell
home decor.
They sell perfume,
candles, cards, all that kind of stuff. It's a department store. You're going to pay for all of it. I did see obviously they were tourists like us that were in there, and they'd be over by looking at prices on things, and I think they wanted to pick up something from Liberty of London, but they didn't want to drop a mint, so they're looking at like a little tray, which was still probably was 30 pounds for it, or that kind of thing. But, you know, that's a lot of hype. It's not all that in a bag of chips, okay? Worth the visit. Well, if you go, let me know what you bought there, because, yeah, there wasn't anything for us. Okay, so I've talked about everything. I think we've got the announcements. We know what's happening and going on. So, great. So, thanks for joining us, and thank you for those of you that are watching our videos from the trip and joining us on the trip. I know many of you did, and you seem to enjoy the experience vicariously, and that's okay. And Sunday, we have Stephen and Walter live, and we're going to do a bit of a dissection now that we're home of the overall trip. What things we found interesting, what things we found annoying, all kinds of things on there. And so we invite your questions as well. Hope you have lots of questions if you're going to join us on Stephen and Walter Live Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll answer your questions and more. So have a good weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.